We have to be prepared to really fight. I mean, really fight, folks. That's why we have a petition up at aclj.org.
We are launching a petition. It's up at aclj.org to stop and also just keep educating Americans about this power grab by the IRS. Think about, again, the $80 billion, $87 billion, 80,000 new IRS agents. And they tell you they're not trying to go after the everyday American? You wouldn't need 80,000 new IRS agents to go after the top 1%.
I want to be careful on this $10,000 number that they keep throwing around, because as Professor Hutchison said yesterday, and I think it bears repeating today, that is not what the number really is. It's a $10,000 aggregate. It used to be $600. It was the proposal per transaction. And then we went and did a congressional hearing on how ridiculous that was. And then this one, they come back and say, oh, $10,000. But then they slip in a word in the course of a year.
The Democrats want access to data with no probable cause, no warrant, no court order.
Nothing.
Basically, they say that every single thing that you do as an American citizen on a given day is subject to their approval.
They not only want to know where your money comes from, but they want to know where you spend it. And that's frightening. That's scary. That's terrifying. Where my money goes and where that I get is my business. It's not the government's business to monitor how I spend my money.
This looks like getting the IRS into every American citizen's life with no probable cause, no court to protect, nothing.
It's very un-American if you think about it. Sure, we're supposed to be the country that values individual liberty. And this is a direct assault on individuals' liberty.
This is a complete IRS takeover of everyone's personal life. We talked about this, the phony idea of moving it from $600 to $10,000. Folks, I mean, think about it. If you're living on Social Security right now, you're spending $10,000 in a year.
Yes, because it's aggregate. It's
right,
it's not one-time transaction.
Over a year. So it's not, when they say that they're going after the top 1%, this is about the highest earners, they're already watching the highest earners with big transactions.
Of course.
This is to go after the everyday citizen.
It's $27.40 a day. If you spend that, basically, you're subject to this, which is probably just about every American. And what we're doing is, as Rick Grinnell just said in the last segment of the broadcast, we are letting the IRS into your personal bank account, Harry. That's the problem with this, with no probable cause.
Where does all this stand? Both the reconciliation, the idea for this, the budgeting.
I actually think they're getting a little bit closer to getting that to the floor of the United States Senate for a debate. A lot of the news is covering just that top line spending dollar figure. Not enough people are focusing in on the substance of the bill, including this snooping provision. The deadline, Jordan, that Speaker Pelosi had set for that was October 31st.
If it's just ordinary spending in the course of people's lives, no judge would authorize that. So they know that.
You could never get this in court, but if you could do this through law, and the idea is that if you dual track this, you can, on the one hand, they're going to have access to everyone's bank account. I mean, you could what they'll try to sell it to you is that, well, we're not going to count your Social Security when it comes in, but it goes out. You have to spend whatever resources you have. You have to pay the bills. So over a year, I mean, try to find people who aren't spending an aggregate of $10,000 in an entire year.
What we don't want to do here is allow a precedent where they have unfettered access. That's what Andy was talking about. It's unfettered access into your accounts. And that, Harry, is where the danger is. It's just this kind of open-ended, here's $80 billion, go hire 80,000 agents, let's see what happens.
Keep in mind, recently the IRS declared that Bible reading or an organization that supported Bible reading was indeed a Republican organization. This is nonsense.
Trying to greenlight an ideological check by 80,000 new IRS agents. Rick, I mean, you were overseeing the entire intelligence community. To a power move like that for an agency to add 80,000 new employees at one time, that's more than significant in Washington. That makes it probably the most powerful entity in Washington, D.C.
That's not what we designed this country to be like. We have designed a system so that individuals have the power and the government works for us. But this move is really flipping it around. It's the government coming after the people.
Think about 80,000 new IRS revenue agents scurrying around the country looking at our bank accounts. with no probable cause whatsoever and a threshold that is ridiculously low.
The American people have to stay engaged on these issues. You've got to keep engagement here because, like you said earlier in the piece that ran, if it's out of the news doesn't mean it's out of the way. And I think we've got to be clear on that. We've got to stay engaged.
One way to do that is just to keep listening to ACLJ. I know that's a shameless plug, but we're covering these issues. We're talking about them in detail. You're getting more analysis than just a quick little hit on TV. And that's what I think people need to do. Tune in, turn in, educate yourself, go online, and read about these issues in detail.
Remember, the whole goal of this, like Rick said, is to create more audits. It's to go after more Americans, audit more Americans. It's not the top 1% who've got tons of people advising them on their taxes. It's you. That's who they're going after. It's middle-class America.